What's going on, guys? Kigerr here. Man, that feels good to say after so long. Let's jump into it. Today I have a Black Widow infographic and explanation for you. Let's go. Alright, guys. This is my Black Widow patch 1.9.7 build for all major game modes. This, you guys know I don't do the artsy crap. My buddy Bud the Stud, leader of the bakery over on Hydra server, where myself and Misery are in that alliance, as well as Dylar is in a sister alliance of that cluster. Special thanks to Bud. As you see, I had him do the artsy crap and then took all my information. The reason why I want to do the patch at the top is so that if you find this in, let's say, December or something, and you go off of this, I would feel really bad as a content creator if things changed. As we all know, they really like to nerf on Widow. Uh, correct things. But I don't want you to find this picture right here in December or January of next year and then go off of this if things have changed since then. So whenever things change in the game, I will be making changes to these infographics. You can find them on my Discord. The link is down below. And we're actually going to zoom in on it so that I can show you what's going on here. So this is it zoomed in. It's a lot clearer on my Discord, but I want to just show you piece by piece my choices and why I chose them. So starting off right here, we got Dimensional Duel, the 1v1 PvP. Best armor sets for special, I have Eyes of Osiris, Regional, Kigerr. The reason why it's like this is once we get into the abilities, you'll see our main skills. We only use two espionage device type skills, but they are our primary damage output, as you'll see once we get to that. Your biggest hits are your marksman type skills, but from the playstyle that you will see from this build, it's mostly set it and forget it with the sticky bomb and then play this cat and mouse game with your opponent. The reason why Kigerr over Hydra is Hydra's 3 set is just base attack percentage, while if you're a super in-game player that hasn't moved to special, Hydra is fine because once you max out all these other stats, then attack percentage is something you may as well have. But with Widow, as you'll see, 350% crit is possible in other game modes, so that would be something that you would prefer Kigerr. I've had the questions, can I still use my other sets? Yes, you can. You can use any set you want, but you will have slightly or moderately less success than you would with this correct build. Our top stats that we're looking for, Defense Pierce is the first because of how Defense Pierce mechanic works in the game. If you have 75%, no matter how big their defense is, you cut 75% of that. Uh, PvP damage decrease is our second most important stat. The reason why we want this over just more damage, such as crit damage or PvP increase, is because the PvP damage is super jacked up in this game, that it's a multiplier on top of a multiplier on top of a multiplier. So if you can reduce it, just imagine. We've had PvP damage decrease in the game for the longest time, and they had to nerf PvP damage by another quarter so that people were doing less damage and not getting one shot all the time. Accuracy is our number 3. This is primarily for Spider-Man, almost entirely for Spider-Man. And so if you're not worried about Spider-Man, you can skip it. But I would suggest at least 160% accuracy rate before you throw it by the wayside. Then crit damage is our number 4. Crit damage on crit damage on crit damage. You want crit rate, of course. Everyone wants crit rate, but Widow has kind of a cheat code with her ultimate where it's guaranteed to be a crit, so crit damage is way more of importance than actual crit rate. Then we got ultimate recovery. Uh, when you get up to 200%, your ultimate's on a 16-second cooldown. If you look at the amount of time that's in a dimension duel, it's 90 seconds. So being able to do your ultimate every 16 is a bunch of times in a 90-second game right there. Companion, I have my Chavez right here. Um, I prefer Chavez because if they have a Hulk, it kills the Hulk, and then mine is high enough that it kills the Hulk and also hits them. Uh, if yours is lower, it's mainly just going to kill the Hulk. But if they don't have Hulk, it still hits them and gives you a 30% damage increase. If you don't want to go for Chavez or you don't have Chavez, Hulk himself is acceptable. So is Ultron, which you get up to 4 or 5 star for free, or the one who's on a come up right now, which I don't have listed right here because we're still testing it, is Jane Foster Mighty Thor, and that's because her chain lightning does more damage when it bounces between targets, and Hulk is a target, so it'll bounce to the Hulk, bounce to you, and then do a stronger damage hit. Next, we go on to my skill rotation. I have it in this order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have exploit weakness, which we can use to kind of dodge some skills. It can be finicky. I would suggest turning up your settings on your phone or device that you're using so that it's more crisp and clear, because this is one of those skills that every millisecond actually matters. Sticky Bomb, most of your game plan is going to be around these two skills. The other three skills you touch only in certain situations. But assuming your cooldown is high enough, you're mainly touching these two skills. Double Shot, I really like Concentrated Fire. It does really good damage. Um, and the spin backwards is actually really key for getting some burst or even dodge into a hit. Nothing as satisfying as that, but double shot is just way quicker, way cleaner. As you go up on the ranks in Dimension Duel, you will notice the difference. As well as Concentrated Fire has a big spin around, and sometimes she'll just spin, 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 and not do anything. Then we have Flash Grenade. This is a blind and can also be used as a movement place skill. Then we have Frag Bullets. I like it because it travels in tracks. An option right here that a lot of Widows have been using is the actual snipe instead, and that's because you can go up against some Captain Americas who are almost impossible to damage. So in a good ultimate snipe, uh, you do sticky bomb ultimate snipe, and then it will chunk them. And if you trade those chunks every 16 seconds with your ultimate, then you should be able to take them down just fine. My cards right here, as you notice, none of them are specials. This is meant to be a quick start guide, something to get you started. This is not meant to be super in game, but the same ideas work at in game. But the ideas here is crit damage, defense pierce, attack, which is unfortunate because it had to be attack, uh, crit damage. But having this crit damage and attack gives you the two-piece set as well. Also, this two-piece set is attack as well. And then set 2 crit damage and cooldown. So crit damage, cooldown, crit damage. You can see a theme: defense, pierce, and attack. All good things to have. There's one or two other sets which are fine. Set 11 is decent with the Maestro card giving you the ultimate gauge recovery, as well as having a defense pierce card, which is fine. Then our active traits down here. Under 50% damage do bonus damage. When they have a status effect, which is primarily from blind and shock, life after death, and single target bonus damage. So the only thing that you can change out here is single target bonus damage. If you're facing a lot of Hulks or other summons that stay on the board, this does not apply because if you throw a hit and it hits the Hulk and the player, this does not apply at all, even though you only targeted the one player. The other one I would suggest in this place is Secretive Spy, which gives you 18% melee damage decrease. Um, and if you're still working on PvP damage and you want to forget defense, you can go with a Sharp Mind, which whenever you use your exploit weakness with a 15-second cooldown, you will get a 29% PvP damage increase. This does not stack with regular PvP damage increase. Let's go into Omega War. All right, with Omega War, we have the same equipment, the same stats, and that's because it's still primarily PvP. And with my particular playstyle and what I want you to focus on as a Widow in group PvP is you're still an assassin. Your main objective is to get in, get a kill, get out. And you'll notice that once we get down to the active traits, something changed, and I will explain that in a second. I like Ultron mainly because I'm always fighting my teammates for the crystals. If you're going in an alliance war, Alliance Omega War, or if you're going in with a 4 stack, you can do something more offensive, such as Hulk, or as I said previously, Jane Foster Mighty Thor is also really good. I've had reports that people have had it fully chain in a big team fight, and over the course of the 7-minute Omega War, had upwards of 15 or 20 kills during the entire Omega War with just Mighty Thor not having to click a single ability. And that's because as it chains back and back and back, the damage multiplies up to 250% bonus damage. And just at rank 1, it's like 650% damage. The cards stay the same because it is still primarily PvP and you're still doing crit damage and defense pierce and cooldown. The skills are mostly the same. The only thing that changed here is Sticky Bomb is now Trap Deluge, and I'll explain it right now with the active traits. The active traits, so we don't have the revive because it doesn't reset. So in the 7 minutes, you would get one revive. That can be fine if you're the type of player that's very, if you think your one death will matter, you can make that player decision and go into Omega War knowing you have one extra life one time. Uh, but we have under 50% damage do bonus damage, which is something we want. Uh, a lot of the time, if you're using enhancers and such, you can one-shot people. But as you're on the come up, this is important. Then we have Subdue, which is very important to mention that this works with other player status effects. So if you have a Star Lord that does burn, someone does shock, what have you, you will deal bonus damage. Then we have Crit Cap right here, which is the first one I want you to go after. Um, so this makes you 350% crit damage as a Widow, which allows you to get all these one-shots. If you can't use the 350% damage, I recommend Operation Breakthrough, which because you have the two skills right here, Deadly Aim skills, you will get 27.5% crit damage, allowing you to get closer to the 300% cap. And once you surpass that 300% cap, then you can go to the crit cap right here. Then this is the interesting one that I get the most questions on right here, improvising. And this will require you to play around a little bit. And what this does is whenever you use an espionage type skill, it reduces your cooldowns by 2.5 seconds. And this is a really, really cool thing you can do as Widow that I would like to explain. So what some people do is they run in, go invisible with the ultimate, trap deluge, and either fuck it, I'm dead, or try to get out. What I want you to do is run at them, use exploit weakness to put yourself in the middle of the team, then Trap Deluge to get the kills. And Trap Deluge, being an espionage device type skill, gives you the improvising to give you your cooldown back. And then you exploit weakness out of there so that you can literally just press two buttons. Well, the first one you press twice, and then you're out. And then you still have your ultimate as a oh shit button if they're able to catch up to you, and you can be like, ultimate, get away. As a tip, when you ultimate, they can see where you teleport to because it does a short teleport. I recommend after that short teleport to run somewhere else. So if you've been running straight backwards and you ultimate to get away, run to the left or run to the right. Don't keep going in that same direction. You want to keep your opponent guessing. You're an assassin, remember? But I like that strategy, and you can minimize your chances of death with that. Last but not least, PvE. Alliance Raid and Dark Zone. So this is the primary PvE that we have in the game after the recent Dark Zone changes and Alliance Raid, boosting your entire alliance, especially if you get the top three alliances on the server, you get bonus attack in most game modes. So that's important to keep in mind. So the the regional and specials have changed here because you will be using the deadly aim more frequently, especially seeing as it's a single target boss and they don't really move much, so you don't have to do the dodgy playstyle. And Savage Shadowlands for regional. The reason why it's Savage Shadowlands and not another Deadly Aim regional, which they're both interchangeable depending on if you want defense pierce or crit damage, there is no best or worst. Crit is just slightly harder to get because of red versus green. The reason why I went with Savage Shadowlands here on my infographic is because it gives you supervillain damage, and Black Widow does not have supervillain damage as an exclusive on Omega cards. If you feel your supervillain damage is fine, you can go for one of the other Deadly Aim regionals. Top stats, defense pierce is still important, and that is because we've talked about this as content creators before, that defense pierce was not important on PvE until Alliance Raid happened, and that's because they jacked up their defense by a fuck ton. They have a bunch of defense. It is the single most important thing that you could possibly get. Even a MODOK is tankier than a Captain America. Crit damage, crit damage, crit damage, crit damage. I want you at 350% damage immediately. You want some big critties. Shout out to Mamba on the Omega Flight server for coining the term critties. Supervillain damage. This is the equivalent of your PvP damage increase, but for PvE. Ultimate gauge recovery, and total damage. The reason why total damage is so down here is total damage is one of the stats that you like the most because it goes across to all game modes. It is just flat damage across the board and any game mode. The reason why it's only at 5 is because you get a whole lot less of that stat than other stats from other sources. As you'll see, crit damage, they give you so much crit damage for a core or what have you, and then most of the other stats is regular baseline, and total damage, they give you like 70% of that stat, 60-70% of that stat when you roll a total damage for something. Skills, we're kind of close. Uh, I've had questions about exploit weakness still, and that's because I'm using it as a dodge primarily and a go-between waiting on cooldowns, which isn't very often. People have been using the grappling hook knee dive. I just find it's very, very clunky, and the animation takes too long. When you have 50% cooldown reduction, as I do, the animation time of knee dive is wasted damage on the table because I could be clicking other buttons. Explosive grenade, you do 20% bonus damage, your allies do 20% bonus damage, nothing wrong, nothing to say about that. Then we have concentrated fire, better than the fan. double shot because in these game modes, Alliance Raid and Dark Zone, you're primarily facing one boss. So focusing damage on one target is important. They also don't dodge as often as actual players. I'm still using Sticky Bomb. Notable exception here is Trap Deluge when there's multiple targets such as MODOK or Thanos. I like it. I like doing those on them. Then you got your snipe for the biggest of critties. You want to do this and your ultimate back to back on rip. Then we go into our cards. We have supervillain damage, defense pierce, supervillain damage, defense pierce, supervillain damage, defense pierce. Can you see anything happening here, gentlemen uh, and ladies? So two-piece attack, two-piece attack, and two-piece supervillain damage. So you're doing all the things that I want you to be doing right there. Then you have under 50% bonus damage, if status effect bonus damage, crit cap, and single target damage. And that is my breakdown of my Black Widow infographic. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think anything should be changed on this infographic, if you think it could be cleaned up in any way, and who you want to see in the next infographic. Till next time, guys.